Helene was a girl that for some reason always knew and always had a sense for others and what they may want or need, or if somebody was kind of the outcast, she was the one that would bring them in to whichever group was there at the time.
I've heard I was a really noisy kid. I would yell a lot, really energetic. I like to think I was a caring kid.
She just was always on the go. She was always moving from the time she was a tiny little baby until this day, actually. She was go, 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 loving to be with people and a busy social butterfly.
I wrote when I was a kid that I wanted to be the Governor General when I grew up, which is not a thing. Realistically, I wanted to be in film.
It was probably a year before Helene was diagnosed and in the hospital that I started to pick up on a few changes in her. And, you know, I'd noticed all of a sudden she seemed to be losing weight.
I was on a camping trip with friends and we were going on this hike, walk thing. And it was like, just like walking with them and talking, I couldn't keep up.
She said, well, I have to go to the emergency because apparently I have a collapsed lung.
She's like, I'm turning around, I'm coming home. I was like, no, I'll be fine. They're just gonna puff them back up. It's no big deal.
I'm a nurse. I know about collapsed lungs, and people usually are in a lot of pain and can't breathe.
And I think it was hard for her to even accept that I was like, no, I don't want you to come see me right now until I know what's going on.
Our life is about to change.
Hey, my name's Helene Campbell, and I had this weird, rare lung disease called pluriparenchymal fibroelastosis, which is like an inflammation to the lungs, specifically the pleura of my lungs, that was hardening them. And then, you know, your lungs are kind of like a sponge and you have that elasticity. The disease I had was like the inflammation was scarring that, so it was damaging the lungs, so I couldn't like breathe in normally.
She called and said, oh, Mom, the doctor said that my lungs look like I've been a chain smoker for 60 years. And the doctor said, I actually have very, very bad lungs and we don't know how and why it's like that. I thought, okay, this doesn't look good.
I think it was a process, because it wasn't an overnight thing. Like, I was admitted and it took them a long time to diagnose what was actually going on, which enabled me to process it a lot easier. It wasn't like an immediate dunk in cold water. It was like tiptoeing in, you know.
Thanks, I promise. If they mention anything about maybe admitting you, I'm there. I'm going to be coming over, so make sure you tell me.
I'll never forget what she told me, and she was just like, Helene, I'm a nurse here. There is no way, I'm gonna get emotional thinking about this. She's like, there is no way that I can go to work every day here caring for other people when I know that my own daughter needs to be cared for. And I was just like, what? Like, you would do that for me? She was like, yeah. I was feeling worse and worse. My breathing was getting worse and worse.
Helene had been admitted the day before because she could no longer carry on, and we knew that her strength was getting close to the end.
The day of the transplant, this nurse comes in at like 5 a.m. and says, Helene, I don't want you to have anything to eat or drink. There's a possibility of like a donor and a match. So
that was exciting, but we had been through a false alarm before, so again you're thinking this may not be, because they have to do a whole series of tests again throughout the day to make sure that the lungs are going to be compatible. And I remember she turned around, and she said, Mom, if those lungs are not for me tonight, I don't know if I'm going to make it through the night. Like,
I just remember being hopeful about it, but at the same time realizing that if this was a false alarm, that was it for me.
When they first told us she may have lungs was maybe 5:30 in the morning.
This doctor comes in around 11:30 at night, so really long day of waiting.
We know that her health is going downhill, and she really needs those lungs.
This doctor comes in, he's this like super tall man. He's like, Helene, you know, we have a suitable match, a potential match for you.
It's gonna be a long and difficult recovery.
Do you want to go through with this?
If you're willing to go with it, we're ready to go with it.
I just remember being like, why would I ever say no?
Right away, she said, really? You mean like this is happening? Really? I can go and have the surgery?
And I was just like, yes, I do.
Within half an hour, the porters were coming to pick her up and rolled her into the surgery. So it just happened really quickly once we knew that that was it.
And I'll never forget, I was like, Mom, whether I make it or I don't, like, I'll be in a better place. And she was just looking at me with like tears in her eyes. I was like, I'm gonna dance with Ellen. Of course, I always need a support person, and my go-to will forever be my mom.
Even though I wanted her to get the transplant, it's difficult to think somebody else will have to go through a loss. For other parents, I think going through that, it's making, you know, having a realistic expectations, at the same time hoping for the best, and just take it one day at a time. Cherish what you have.